Okay, so thank you all for showing up. This is so exciting. We're going to hear today to talk about the Tour de Mont Blanc trip, which this year it's going to be July 8th to the 16th, 2023. So this summer, I am joined by the lovely and fabulous Lindsay Cannon.
Hi there.
And she is calling in from Chamonix, France. So she is our local guide. We've been working with her since 2016. She's just the best, is filled with stories, laughter, and just very good energy. And we love to work with her. So she's done the Tour de Mont Blanc somewhere around the range of 60 times. So she is definitely an expert on this trip. And like I said, has been doing this route with us since 2016. So I am just going to pass the mic on over to Lindsay to give a quick little introduction about herself and talk about the Tour de Mont Blanc and what makes it so special.
First of all, hi everybody. It's lovely to be able to chat to you face to face, as it were, about the Tour de Mont Blanc, or the TMB as we call it in these parts. As Jenny said, I'm speaking to you from Chamonix in France. This is where I've lived for over 20 years. I have indeed guided the TMB at least 60 times, so I'm familiar with just about every pebble on the trail. And just outside my office here, we have the glittering peak of Mont Blanc and all the glaciers. So the Mont Blanc Massif, there's the mountain range of Mont Blanc, is relatively small. It's 29 miles long by 12 miles wide. But it's very famous because just above my chalet here, it's home to the highest summit in Western Europe, Mont Blanc itself, which is 4,810 meters. You'll need to times that by 3.28 if you're good at maths to get the feet. But this is the reason that the hike is famous. We are going to circle the highest mountain in Western Europe. It's a fabulous trek because you actually visit 3 countries. We start in France, in Chamonix here, which is probably the epicenter of alpine mountaineering in the world. We then head into Italy, and then we finish by going through Switzerland and back into France. So you get to experience 3 different cultures in the course of this trip. It's very historic, and that is why people come from all over the world every year to hike the TMB. The reason it's historic is largely to do with the fact it is the highest mountain in Western Europe, but also the story behind it. So in the 1780s, a geologist called Saussure was based in Geneva, and he visited Chamonix and he thought, well, this mountain looks really big. He wanted to find out if it was the biggest mountain in Western Europe, and then he wanted to climb it. So he spent several years in the 1780s walking right round the Mont Blanc Massif. And what he was trying to do was actually find a way to the summit of the mountain. And that is how the Tour de Mont Blanc was born. It was really based on Saussure's circuit, constantly looking up through his binoculars, trying to work out a route up the mountain. Now, he didn't actually end up climbing the mountain, but 2 local people from Chamonix, Balma and Paccard, in 1786, they climbed Mont Blanc on the 7th and the 8th of August. So on the 7th of August, they walked as high up the mountain as they possibly could. They got to a point just before it became glaciated. And then on the 8th of August, they got to the summit. Saussure was on the opposite side of the valley, watching with a very large telescope to make sure they got to the summit, because he was offering a reward for the people who got there first. And the little story behind Balma and Paccard. Paccard was the local doctor. Balma hunted chamois. He also gathered crystals for the watchmaking factories in Geneva for the precision pieces. And Paccard was attending Balma because his daughter Judith wasn't very well. The 2 men got chatting about this reward that was being offered, which seemed to interest them more than tending to Judith. So off they set into the mountains to claim the reward, and Judith died. I don't know what that says about the 2 guys, but it's quite a nice little bit of history that they were too busy climbing the mountain and she succumbed to her ailment. So that's a little bit of the history behind how the TMB came into being. It's now one of the most famous hikes in the world. And because of that, a lot of people want to do it. So what I would say to everyone listening is, if you want to book this trip, you need to do it as soon as possible, because there's such a demand for doing it. And what will we see on the way? We will pass through the different cultures of Switzerland, Italy, and France. We will see quaint little hamlets and villages, beautiful alpine chalets with all the chrysanthemums and the geraniums and all that beautiful color outside. You'll experience the different food. In France, we'll have Savoyard food. It's based a lot on meat and cheeses. When you go into Italy, obviously, you know, we're going to go and have a pizza. I guess we have to in Italy. And then we're into Switzerland, and it's more Swiss cuisine. So you've got a lot of culture happening there, a lot of different experiences. We'll be stopping a lot to chat to people, because I've got to know quite a lot of people over the years. And one of the joys for me of doing this trip is to see the friends that I have made over the years when we're going around this route. And Janie, we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but I think you wanted to chat about, you know, well, what is the benefit of having a guide on the TMB?
Definitely. So there's, I guess, two different people that go on the TMB, and one is self-guided. So that means they don't have a guide, and the other is guided. So we are a guided tour of the TMB. And what are the benefits? The benefits are, we have Lindsay. She is on this trail. Like she said, she knows every single pebble. So she knows all the local people. She can tell all the stories of her experiences over the year. We have all of the maps. We know all the routes. You don't have to do a thing. A lot of the other people who are self-guided, they're looking down at a book, they're looking down at a map, and they might miss some experiences, right? So they're so worried about not getting lost, finding a place to stay. A lot of these refugios, and the hotels book out very, very far in advance, at least a year. So we've sorted all of that for you. You never have to worry about having a bed. And it's going to be so great.
So one of the things we've also done is, because we know the people at the hotels, we've actually managed to secure you quite a high standard of accommodation. And I don't mean luxury, I mean in terms of the TMB, because quite a few of the places on the TMB, people have to be in dormitories, which means you could be sharing with up to 10 people. Now, because AGC is very organized, they're looking well ahead. We've got accommodation booked that really is going to give you individual, but bedrooms almost throughout this trip. So you shouldn't be in a dorm where there's like 10 people. But I think one of the things is when that with a journey like this, the journey to me is more important than the accommodation. You're doing it because you want to do this epic, historic hiking journey, and we just make do with whatever's there. We'll be comfortable, we'll have hot showers, we'll be well fed, and it'll just be a really lovely experience for you. Janie asked me to describe what a normal day looks like. So what we would do in the morning is we normally try and leave as soon as possible. In terms of managing the group, we would like to be hiking in the cool of the morning, because every single day we're going to go up over a high pass and down the other side. That is alpine hiking. So you just have to get used to the idea that you're going to spend the morning walking up, you're going to go over a high pass, you're going to see stunning views, and then we descend into the next valley. So because of that, we try to leave quite early in the morning. So we'll have breakfast as early as we can. We start hiking. We try and hike in the cool of the day, but obviously, there are going to be days when it's going to be hot. We get up to the pass. We'll stop at regular intervals to just have a little snack, have an energy break. And then we'll go down the other side to our accommodation. Each evening, Jenny and I will brief you on the day ahead. So every evening you'll have a chance to air any questions or concerns that you might have about the next day. We'll do our best to rectify anything that's worrying you, and we'll do our very best to look after you as well. What I would say, on these multi-day treks, people can get a little bit anxious about the fact that they're walking on consecutive days. I've been doing this for a long time now. I've been a full-time guide winter and summer for over 20 years. And I would say that the best frame of mind when you come to do these treks is just chill and go with it. We're going to keep you right. We're going to make sure you get there. I've never left anybody on the trail yet. I know there's always a first time, but I haven't done it yet. So not worrying too much about how far we have to walk today, how far we have to climb is a really good mindset. And if you just turn up fit and ready to hike, then we'll look after you. Over to you, Jenny.
Awesome. Thanks, Lindsay. So that was great. Everything she said is totally true. And there has been a couple of changes this year that we're really excited about. So in the past, we haven't done the whole circuit of the Mont Blanc Massif. We've just kind of done the western and the southern side, but because everyone really asked for it, everyone really wanted it, we're actually doing the whole circuit. So this year is the first time you can actually say you've done the whole circuit of the TMB, which is really exciting. Another change that we've had is that we're going to do a luggage service. So we used to carry everything we needed on our back, including clothes, toiletries, everything like that. But this year we have a van that will meet us in the morning before we set off on our hike to grab our extra luggage, and it will bring our luggage to the hotel that we're staying at at the next night. So, which is just fantastic. All you need to hike with is just your day bag, which is going to look similar to what you would hike with on a normal day hike. So extra layers and clothes, rain gear, your lunch, snacks, and your water. Different things like that. So those are a couple of little changes that we've made, which is really great. So I'm sure everyone's really excited to look at the day-to-day. I am going to share my screen, and we have a couple of photos for you. Lindsay and I are going to go through the day-by-day and kind of talk about what the mileage is, what it looks like, what the hotels are at night. So this is basically an overview of where we're going to hike. I think you can see my mouse on there. Maybe you can't, but we will be starting in Chamonix, which is kind of right at the middle on the northern bit of the circuit right here. And then we're going to walk counterclockwise around to finish back at Chamonix. It will be an 8-day trip total, with the first day kind of spent doing a warm-up trek. And I will hand the reins to Lindsay to talk about our day 2, because day 1 is technically arrival day. So we'll have a welcome dinner, we'll get to meet everyone, and then we'll start hiking on day 2.
It's nice to have a warm-up day when we're about to do a trip of this nature, because once we leave Chamonix, we want to be able to keep going. We want everybody to have settled down on day 1. It gives you the chance to chat to Janie or I about your kit, if you've had problems with your boots, if you've had problems with anything, if you've lost a piece of luggage, if you haven't brought something. Lots and lots of great shops in Chamonix. So yeah, it's an outdoor person's heaven in terms of the shopping. So if you've forgotten anything, the warm-up day gives us a great chance just to acquire anything we need. So on this day, we are going to visit the Aiguille du Midi. The Aiguille du Midi is the big spire above Chamonix. And in France, which is where I'm speaking to you from, the Aiguille du Midi is the second most visited attraction after the Eiffel Tower. So it's a wonderful thing to do. So we'll go up the Aiguille du Midi. You'll have amazing views of glaciers. It's as close to Mont Blanc that you can get without actually climbing it. So we'll get you up there. Stunning views. We just have to hope for good weather on that day. We come back down to the middle station on the cable car, and then we start a balcony hike, and we'll hike to the Mer de Glace. So that's simply French for the Sea of Ice. So it's a very large glacier. It's very historic. As I'm Scottish, and the Scottish scientist James Forbes from Edinburgh in the 1800s, he produced the first research paper on glaciers and how they worked and how they moved. And it was the Mer de Glace that he studied. And during the summer months, he often was dressed in chamois leather, which is chamois, the mountain antelope we've got here. They used to make chamois leathers to clean your cars out of the skin. But he was dressed in chamois leathers, and he would go around the glacier placing explosives and blowing it up, because he wanted to see what happened. So the locals thought he was completely bonkers. But anyway, we will see the mer de glace, and we will see where James Forbes carried out his experiments, and we'll hike up to Signal Forbes, which has the most stunning view. Then it's back to Chamonix and to your lovely hotel. And the hotel in Chamonix is just opposite my chalet, very convenient for me. Thank you, Janie. So this is the Hotel Aiguille de Midi. We try to use family hotel. So Carla and Vincent Farini, their family have had this for a number of generations. It's very historic, and they're just a delightful family. We've chosen to have the hotel on the outskirts of Chamonix to avoid just the noise and the potential that you might struggle to have a good night's sleep. Because if you've flown in from the States or from anywhere in the world, we want to know that you can have a good night's sleep so that you're ready to start your TMB. So it's one of the reasons that we've chosen to be with the Hotel Aiguille de Midi. The food is really good there, and as I say, very traditional and historic family-run hotel. So that is day one.
Perfect.
And here we go. Right. So the first day, or rather the next day, we're going to walk to Les Contamines, and we're going to go over the Col de Tricot. And the tricot is the French word for knitting. And I've got no idea why a high pass is called the knitting pass. I guess somebody at some point maybe knitted a sweater there. I don't know. You're going to hear this word a lot. Col, C-O-L. That is just what we call, I think you would call it a pass. Yeah, a high pass.
Yes.
Every day we go over a col. So there's lots of talk about cols. It just means a high pass. And on this day, we'll be going through flower meadows. There'll be herds of cows. We had a great chat with this guy here in the slide. I love the alpine flowers. I know quite well. I've taken an interest in the medicinal uses of flowers, the culinary uses of the flowers. I love to chat about the flowers, so there'll be lots of stopping and taking pictures and debate about that. But it's a nice day to settle you in to the hike.
I will say something else about flowers too. So Lindsay and I led a trip together this past summer in Switzerland, in the Swiss Alps. And what we did is we actually gave everyone a flower to study and to talk about. And when we were hiking throughout the day, let's just say Lindsay had an alpine flower. What's your favorite flower, Lindsay?
I love alpine snowbell.
Alpine snowbell. So we gave Lindsay the alpine snowbell, and if she saw it during the day, she would give a little talk about it, what she learned about that night when she was researching, showing us, what it looks like, how pretty it is. And we saw most of the flowers throughout the day that we actually assigned to people to kind of study and research. So that was really fun, and it's just something to add throughout the day to give you all a little bit of incentive and to make your trip the way you want it. So I thought that was fun.
One thing just before you move on to the next slide, Janie, someone's asking what is the starting elevation. So just when we're talking about Chamonix sits at 1,000 meters. That'll be 3,280 feet. And we do actually have rooms available in the hotel for an extra night if you want to arrive a night before the trip, so you can get over jet lag, and you can also let your body acclimatize to the fact that you're up 3,280.
Perfect. Thanks, Lindsay. All right.
Oh, and this is where we stay. The Gay Soleil. So this again, lovely traditional hotel. In the summer, they always have masses of geraniums along the front of the hotel. They haven't got them in that picture, but Les Contamines, just a lovely alpine town. And it's David who runs it. He's a trail runner. He does a lot of running in the mountains. Just a nice place to be, and good food.
Perfect. That's actually, I think there's you waving in the top left of there. That's why I put in that photo.
Oh, excellent.
All right. So day 4.
So day 4. So this is our big day on day 4. So at least you've got a couple of days to settle down and get in the swing of it. So the day we hike from Notre Dame de la Gorge over the Col de Bonhomme, we could do 2 calls on this day. As you can see, it can be 9 hours. It's a big hike. People do get it's understandable that before you sign up for something, you're asking yourself, can I do this? How is it going to be? What if I hold people up? What if I'm the slowest? What if everybody else holds me up and I'm the fastest? What I would say is you're signing up for a group experience. We like to think that we work as a team and we stick together. So the way it works in France is that as the guide, I'm responsible for you. Therefore, we all stay together. We work together. If somebody is struggling a little bit on this day, well, we give support. If somebody wants to stretch the legs and we're going too slowly, well, we might let you go a little bit ahead, but say you need to wait at that pass. But in general, throughout this week, we're going to work as a team and we're all going to be together. The pace that I set is a pace that if you're at the right level of fitness, it's going to seem easy. It's just going to be steady. There's not a rush. It's going to be a steady pace. But equally, if there's bad weather coming or we're going too slowly, we might need to up the pace a little bit, because if you're in the sun for 9 hours, when it's a day that you should have only been in the sun for 6 hours, eventually that cumulative tiredness will build up. So you don't need to worry about that, though. It's Janie and I's job as your guides to manage the group, to look after everybody. As I said, I've done this for 20 years. I've done it over 60 times. I've never had anyone not manage to get over this pass. And I think the thing is about the mountains, they're character building as well, because I'm not going to ring you a helicopter, you know, just because you're like, oh, it's a little bit far. Don't think I'm going to manage it. We'll just support each other and we'll get there. It's a beautiful day. It's really worth it. Beautiful day.
It is. And we'll be staying at our first auberge. So this is a little bit different than a hotel. So Auberge de la Nova. Lindsay, can you tell us a little bit about the difference between an auberge or a refuge versus a hotel?
Yeah, so auberge, okay, think of it as a more basic mountain accommodation, okay? You can see in the picture there, it's bunk beds. So it's a more basic accommodation. It's not quite as fancy as a hotel. And this is run by Muriel and Eric. They're, yeah, what can I say? They're a pair of characters. I've known Muriel and Eric for a long time. And the last time I arrived with the AGC group, I just heard this voice yelling, Lindsay! And Muriel's hanging out the window and waving and so excited to see me, because of course we'd had the pandemic and we hadn't been able to do it for 2 years. So a lovely couple. A lot of these mountain people, they're very straight talking. I remember one person asked Eric to carry their bags up to their bedroom. And for a Frenchman, he was quite restrained, but his language was really interesting, along the lines of, we are not a hotel, you're going to carry your own bags. So if you want to know the difference between a hotel and a refuge, then there's no frills, okay? You're going to get good food, you're going to get plenty of food, you're going to get hot water, you're going to be grateful for a bed. So that's kind of the difference between a refuge and a hotel, is more basic mountain accommodation, and we will be grateful. Thank you, Eric.
I also think one of the things I love most about like auberge or refuges is that they are a little bit more remote. So when we're staying at the hotels, we will be in a town. We can walk around. We can go, you know, to the shops and maybe go get ice cream after dinner. But a lot of these auberges that we're staying at are a little bit, you know, more remote. It might be the only thing around, which is really interesting and very cool, because we're there to experience the local people. We're there to experience kind of the backcountry feel of this trek. And it really feels like these in these auberges as well.
Oh, the other fabulous thing about the Auberge de la Nova, they have a chèvrerie there. So chèvre is a goat, and they have milking goats there. And Pierre, sometimes in the morning, the lonely goat herd, Pierre, walks through this area that you can see with these herd of goats. And, you know, that's where we all start singing, you know, high on the hill, a lonely goat herd. And Well, that usually becomes, it's stuck in our heads and we're singing it for the rest of the day and we drive each other crazy. But it's just a real insight into what we call transhumance. So transhumance is the seasonal movement of the people with the livestock. In the summer months, the people move to the mountains with their livestock, Pierre and his goats. In the winter months, this valley where the Auberge de la Nova is, there's no one living there. It's completely cut off because of avalanche risk. And in the autumn, the people and the animals move back to the valleys. So that's known as transhumance. It's an incredibly ancient seasonal rotation that the people do here. Somebody just saying, what's the highest altitude? I think that's the Col de la Seine, which is 8,255 feet. So hopefully, Elizabeth, that answers that question.
And I believe that's either the next day, which I'll go to. Yep, it sure is. Okay, I thought so. So day 5 will be going over Col de la Seine.
Yep. So you notice that it says shuttle ride to the trailhead. So because this is the TMB highlights, but we're doing the entire circuit, there are certain sections that we will take transport. That allows us to complete the entire TMB in the time allowed. And it cuts out, for instance, this shuttle ride, all you'd be doing would be walking on a tarmac road for a couple of miles. Okay, let's not do that. Let's just go straight to the mountains. So we do use transport a little bit to make it a lot more enjoyable for you. So this is the photograph there of the lady. That's the Italian-French frontier. So this is the day you get to stand with one leg in Italy and one leg in France. And I know it's an old cliche, but everybody wants the photograph. So that's the Italian frontier. And on the left-hand side, you can see the old the milking churns. And this is Bernard's farm. So we normally stop and see Bernard. He makes the world-famous Beaufort cheese. And I've known Bernard for 20 years. And I said to Janie the other day, every year that I rock up, I so hope that Bernard is still alive and kicking and he's still with us, because he usually looks absolutely exhausted when I see him. I mean, my father was a dairy farmer, so I completely get that one of these days Bernard is going to retire, but let's just hope he's still around. But anyway, we'll try and go and see Bernard. And I said to Janie, do you think you could take him an AJC cap and a t-shirt?
Oh, and he would love that. Of course.
He would love it. He would love it. So we'll go and see Bernard. We can see the cheese. I can talk you through how the cheese is made. But it's really interesting because, again, it's transhumance. So in the summer, all his cows, the Tarim cows, are in the mountains. To be able to sell your cheese as Beaufort cheese, it has to be, the cow has to be 80% Tarim. It can't be, a mongrel mix of other breeds. So it's lovely the way that the French do this appellation, where they only allow you to sell it as Beaufort if the cow has at least 80% taurine in it. In the summer months, the cheese tastes completely different because the cows are grazing on these beautiful wildflowers that we talk about. They're grazing on the mountain herbs. That flavors the milk. That flavors the cheese. So Beaufort été being the word for summer, is more expensive than Beaufort hiver, which is winter, when the cows are inside and just eating hay. So yeah, we're going to try some Beaufort cheese as we go past.
I think it's fair to say we'll probably be eating cheese every day, and I'm not mad about it. And then we're also going to be in Italy. So this is where we hit our different country. We're in Courmayeur, and we're going to be staying at the Hotel Edelweiss.
Yeah, so on the way down to Courmayeur, we're probably going, I'm just checking my notes here. So Courmayeur is an ancient Roman town. Okay, so it's a really lovely place. It's got lots of cobbled streets. It's a beautiful place to be. It's very different to Chamonix, because if you imagine, they're both alpine towns where climbing and hiking is very much the lifeblood of these places. So in Chamonix, the fashion is lots of fancy mountain clothes, people walking around with a rope over their shoulder, their ice axe on their shoulder. Courmayeur, being Italian, it's all about fur coats and the fanciest bling you can possibly dress up in. So it's really lovely just to have that contrast. Both mountain towns, but culturally quite different. I love Courmayeur, very characterful, and we'll be going out for pizza that night. Of course we are.
All right. And then day 6. We're hitting a new country on day 6 as well.
Yeah, so coffee and cake. Yeah, again, we're going to bus up the valley because we get rid of the flat tarmac area. And we are going to go to the Refugio Elena. And oh my God, the coffee there is just wonderful. So we'll get some coffee at the Elena. Usually there's some cake. And that happens after a couple of hours into her hike, and it gives us enough power to then go up and over the Grand Col ferry, and we're heading for the frontier, and that is the border. So when I'm talking about frontier, it's the border. So yesterday we'll have gone from France into Italy. Now we're hiking from Italy over the frontier into Switzerland, and from that frontier point we'll actually be able to, I can point out where the Grand Saint Bernard monastery is. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the St. Bernard mountain rescue dogs, you know, the huge big dogs, and they always try and, you know, depict them with a wooden barrel of brandy under their neck. And the thinking was that, you know, they would dig you out of an avalanche and then you have a little sip of brandy and that'll warm you up. Well, according to the people with St. Bernards, that's just tourist tat, you know, that's just for the tourists. But the St. Bernards, they bred them at the Grand Saint Bernard monastery, hence the name. The first one that showed penchant for rescuing people was called Barry. And Barry has been stuffed and he's in a museum now. But we can talk about all of this when we're on that, the Italian-Swiss frontier, and I can point out where the Grand Saint Bernard is.
Awesome. I will say, when I was a kid, I always thought that there was just notes in that barrel.
Yeah.
They probably didn't want to tell me it was actually brandy. So.
Yeah.
And this is where we'll be staying. We'll be hiking all the way to Champy.
Yeah. So Champy is, if you imagine a hanging valley, it's quite a high valley. We will get a transfer at the end of our hike on this day to the village of Champy. Champy is incredibly famous because they always say it's like the Swiss chocolate box village. You can see the little lake in the slide there, and it's a natural glacial lake. Lovely jade green waters. It's got gorgeous little chalets. It's just a really quaint Swiss village. Really nice little village, and we stay with Yves. I haven't seen Yves at the Hotel du Glacier for a while, so I'll be quite excited to see him, see how he's doing. And again, it's, you know, for me it's lovely just to meet all these people on the way around. You'll get to know them as well, Janie.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, so this day we're going to hike the Bavine Trail. So the Bavine Trail is, think of bovine, cow, as in a bovine, but we would pronounce it bovine. And the Bavine Trail takes us through the territory of the fighting cows. We're going to be meeting fighting cows, I hope, and I'll be telling you all about them. So the fighting cows, think of it as sumo wrestling for cows. They lock horns, they push, they shove, they push, they shove. The one that runs away first is the loser. In Switzerland, this has been going on for hundreds of years, and in France and in Italy, all around this Mont Blanc area. And the breed is the Race des Rennes. It's a black cow. They look like bulls. So many people say to me, Lindsay, we're not walking past them, they're bulls. And I'm like, no, they're not bulls, they're females. But they've got so much testosterone in their system that they've got like the neck of a bull, and they're super, super strong. I'll tell you all about the fighting cows when we actually see them. But on the Bavine Trail, we'll probably stop at the Alpage de Bavine, because Natalie, who's the farmer's wife there. Again, I haven't seen Natalie for a little while. And Natalie has a huge herd of fighting cows. So she's always so welcoming, always get a huge hug. and we can chat with Natalie, and I'll introduce you to her, and hopefully we'll see her fighting cows as well.
Perfect. And I think this day is it's a little bit shorter, 9 miles, about 5 to 6 hours ish. And
yeah,
as you can see, it's not that much elevation gain. So I think it's a nice little reward for all of the past hard days that we've just done as well.
Yeah, totally. Okay, Hotel de la Forclaz. So once we've said goodbye to Natalie, we arrive here. Again, it's quite a basic hotel. I think what is good, as we said earlier, to get into your head that we're just grateful for accommodation. You know, when you do these big multi-day trips, it's just, you know, the reward at the end of the day is simply, you know, some hot running water and the food. Okay, it's not going to be bellhop service. There's not elevators in many of these places. There's no elevators. So with your luggage, you need to be able to just carry it up the stairs. You know, there's no airs and graces or frills, but it's very comfortable accommodation, and we've sourced the best accommodation we can. Other people will be camping, other people will be staying in yurts, other people will be in dormitories with 30 people in there. Everybody's snoring, they don't get any sleep. We've tried to avoid that for all of you. You know, AGC's gone for the best that we can offer you. And Sophie, so my friend Sophie runs a hotel, de la Forclaz, and she's from, you know, an old Swiss family that have had this hotel for generations. So again, Sophie is the next in line with a family business that's gone on for generations. And where this hotel is where the Swiss and the French frontier used to be. And then, you know, with various shenanigans and toing and froing with governments, the French frontier got moved further towards France, and Switzerland got a bit more land. So the old customs house where they used to check all the goods is actually at the Hotel de la Forclaz here.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. That's fun.
Yeah.
A little bit of history. And then this will be our final hiking day.
Final day, yep. We'll be hiking. We leave the Col de la Forclaz, we go down into the valley, and then we spend the day climbing up and over. We arrive at the French frontier, and that's where suddenly there is Mont Blanc. And you get this amazing sense of you've done the full circle. You know, you've left Chamonix looking at Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc is directly above your Hotel Aigu de Midi in Chamonix. The views from that hotel are stunning, much better than views you would get from the town centre. But what I should have said is it's incredibly accessible also at the town centre. It's no problem just to nip in now. It's only about 5 minutes. So yeah, you get the stunning view of Mont Blanc. That's us gone full circle, and you know, we're heading back to Chamonix, hopefully to have a celebratory drink.
Congratulations, everyone!
Yeah, we made it. We made it.
We've made it.
We've just done the T&B
in an hour.
Yeah, in an hour. Yeah.
So I think on this day as well, Lindsay, we're actually staying at a different hotel just to get kind of a different feel for Chamonix as well, which is really cool.
Absolutely, because we thought it was nice to end in the town centre, because you're not going to be worried about, you know, jet lag by then, and you know, and the prairie is slightly on the edge. It's not right in the middle, so it's not too noisy and too busy, but it's literally about 300 meters you're on the main street. So it's quite nice to then let you have a night right in the heart of Chamonix in case you want to go out clubbing or pool dancing or wherever you guys do until the early hours of the morning.
You can celebrate however you'd like to.
Yeah. we make no judgment. So what I would say is that you'll need to do the conversion, you guys, but it can go up to about 30 degrees Celsius, which is pretty hot.
That's about 90, 92.
Yep, it can be a bit warmer. That's why we try and hike and do the climb in the morning, okay? So that, you know, so that we've got the bulk of it done. Is rainfall typical each day? No, it's not typical each day. We can go days with no rainfall, but then if a storm comes in, it can happen extremely quickly. I'm often asked, do I have to take my rain jacket today? Yes, We always take it, because even when we set off and it's blisteringly warm and gorgeous blue skies and we're putting suntan lotion on, if the weather changes, it could thunder, there could be a storm, and suddenly you've got ice cold rain, torrential rain coming out the sky. So this is a proper mountain adventure, and we need to be kitted out appropriately. So we take all that kit. Just because it's a hot day, we don't start leaving masses of kit behind, because we don't know what's going to happen during the course of the day. One thing we haven't talked about, Janie, is what the trails are like.
I was just going to say, we do have a question, Lindsay. It says, how narrow are the trails? Cliffside, what are we hiking on?
Okay. No, we don't have that. Someone has said, how narrow are the trails? Is there a section where it's a cliff and only the boot width? No, we don't have that. Okay, they're decent wide trails. You're not going to fall off the trail. Another question here, how much water do we carry each day? I usually take 2 liters. I'm able to brief you, because I know the trail really well, I'm able to tell you the night before whether we need to set off with all our water because there's no possibility of filling up, or whether you can set off with a liter, because after 2 hours we're going to stop at a farm and we will get some water. Okay, hopefully that answers those questions. But to go back to the trails, these are not trails that have been created and paved. These are ancient trails that date back to Roman times. There's loose stones on them. There's erosion on some parts of them, where it's a little bit loose underfoot. There'll be other sections when we're on what I would call a cart track. In other words, a 4-wheel drive vehicle can drive along it. There are sections like that. There are sections where it's very much a zigzag mountain trail. It's steep. And it keeps going. But it's my job to set the pace that we can all just keep moving at. And during the day, we don't tend to have lots of stops. We all stop at the same time, maybe once an hour or once an hour and a half. I'll say 5 minutes, sit down if you want to, get some water, eat a bit of energy bar, then we move again. Because if we stop repeatedly, that 7-hour day turns into an 11-hour day, and you're exhausted when you get to the accommodation. So we want to get you to the accommodation in good time to relax, to have muscle recovery time, to hydrate and be ready to go again next day. And that's why I said we need to manage the trip. There'll be times when we're like, come on, we all need to pull our socks up. We need to get moving now, because otherwise we're not going to make dinner. We don't want to do that, Janie.
No, we love our food. There's another question here that I think is a good one. Is Diamox recommended for this trip? I will say that we are not doctors. I would definitely go in and chat to your travel doctor about that, or just a doctor about this. Generally, I would say that the elevation isn't super, super high, that you probably won't need that. But then again, please talk to your doctor about that. I cannot give any medical advice. But I think that you should be fine. Another. Oh, sorry. Did you have something else to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've never known anybody have to take Diamox on the
perfect.
Mont Blanc.
Okay.
No, never. The most I've ever had is on the day where we go over the Col de Bonhomme, the day where I said we've got a big day, because people are still acclimatizing. On that day, I have had a few people that are quite slow getting to the pass, because as it gets higher, they're just getting a little bit less air. So you might notice the altitude, but I've never known anybody be ill with it. I've never known people have headaches or anything. And the key is to keep hydrating. I would expect you to drink 2 liters minimum every day, while you're on the trip. Elizabeth is asking about, what are your tips for washing socks? Thanks, Elizabeth. It's a good point, because a lot of people often say, do I have to, what I'm going to do if I want to wash stuff or whatever. Bear in mind, you've got luggage transfers, so you can take as many pairs of socks as you want, provided that you can get it in your bag. But again, don't come with a massive bag. The transfer companies who move the luggage for you say a maximum of 15 kilos. Now, if you can imagine how many hundreds of people are going around the TMB, just purely from a health and safety situation for the drivers, they ask that you keep it to 15 kilos. If you turn up with a 25 kilo bag, they're probably going to charge us extra because is taking up more space, and the luggage driver has reckoned that he's picking up 12 bags, but he picks up bags that could be for 20 people because you've all come with a huge one. So try and keep the luggage down to 15 kilos, and also bear in mind that at the end of the day, when you've already climbed a couple of thousand feet on your feet, you don't want to haul upstairs up 3 flights of stairs at the most enormous bag. Okay, so try. And so the transfer companies also like it if it's a soft bag as opposed to a massive hard shell. But a soft bag with wheels, like a duffel bag with wheels, I would say is the most perfect thing to take on the TMB. So 15 kilos, Melanie says. Yeah, that's 33 pounds, I think, Melanie.
Yeah. And I was gonna say it's better. Sorry, Lindsay. Like pack what you're gonna wear. Don't overpack. I'm just kind of reiterating what Lindsay's saying. If you do end up wanting to wash, some socks and some other things during the day, what a lot of people do is just, wash them in the shower, wash them in the sink, and then hang them up overnight. Hopefully they're dry, but if not, we're gonna be at a hotel the next night where you can keep them out and dry them again. So it should be pretty easy.
Or and that kind of goes in. Yeah, or you can just look like hardcore hikers and hang them off the back of your rucksack during the day and they'll dry.
There you go. Get them in the sunlight.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes with another question. Showers are available every night. So we were saying before, we will be staying in majority hotels and a couple of nights in Auberge, but there will be showers. You will be able to clean yourself, which is really lovely after a hot, dusty day of hiking. Very well worth it.
Someone's asking, can you purchase hiking poles in Chamonix? Debbie, you can purchase just about anything to do with mountains in Chamonix. There are so many outdoor stores that, your credit card will be melting.
Here's a good question, Lindsay. If they are traveling after the hike somewhere else in Europe, can we leave luggage at the first hotel in Chamonix?
I can give Carla a ring tomorrow and double check that, but mostly yes. People often start and end in Chamonix and they leave other kit here because they are going on to travel somewhere else. We will sort that, Elizabeth. And if that was an issue, I'd simply put it in my spare bedroom for you and you'll get it when you come back.
Definitely safe. And there are travel restrictions on bringing your own poles. Someone did ask that. You cannot carry on your hiking poles, but you can check them. So if you put them in your checked bag, and like I said, another really great reason for coming in a day early. It seems like the airlines are getting back on track with pre-COVID and pre-pandemic ways. Less bags are getting lost, but still arriving a day before can kind of help you get rid of jet lag. And if you have a delay on your baggage as well, it normally turns up later that day or maybe the next day. So put your trekking poles in your checked bag. That's what I always do when I travel, and it ends up just fine. They always get through security, but definitely not on carry-on. We don't want you to get stopped and have to turn around and, give those really lovely trekking poles to the TSA agents.
One point I do want to make, though, is that I had 4 guests arriving for a trip this week and their luggage didn't arrive for 24 hours. What we are telling people at the moment, and it's largely to do with shortage of custom officers, shortage of staff at airports. Luggage is going missing, and it can, even next summer, it might still go missing. What we always say is, in your hand luggage, put a set of clothes for your activity. So if you're going to do a hike, in your hand luggage, have a pair of, walking pants, the things that, an appropriate shirt or whatever. You might even want to put your hiking boots in there, because if they go missing, then at least that first day, while you're waiting for your bags to turn up, you're not going to be super stressed, because you've got your boots, you've got a set of clothes,
Mm-hmm.
you've got so with your hand luggage, that really should be your rucksack that you're going to use on the hike. And just put some hiking stuff in there. And then at least on the first day, if your luggage doesn't turn up, it's not going to be a stress for you.
Yeah, and we are staying that first night in Chamonix, so our day 2 hike is going to be a local hike. So we do have an extra day for your luggage to get there if something were to happen. I always wear my trekking boots on a plane anyways because they're big and I don't like to pack them. So that's one less thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think put on me year-round.
Yeah, the boots are very important, aren't they? Someone is asking, have we got bears, bugs and snakes? So we have some vipers, which are poisonous, but you know, they're not going to kill you. If you were a little Jack Russell dog, it might kill you, but it wouldn't kill a human. They're more frightened of us than, you know, we are of them. I very rarely see them. Bugs, yes, you can occasionally get mosquitoes or black flies. So, you know, bring some insect repellent with you. Bears, no. I wish I could say that we had bears, but in the Middle Ages in this valley, there were so many bears that the locals paid their taxes in bear meat, and we don't have any bears left. Bit of a shame, isn't it?
Okay. And the average temperatures per night, since we're going to be at slightly higher elevation, I would say it wouldn't get super, super cold, but maybe like in the 60s, a nice, lovely temperature for nighttime for sleeping in. Open that window. It's going to be great.
Maureen, thanks for your question, Maureen. Which airport do we fly into? The nearest airport to Chamonix is Geneva in Switzerland. We don't provide transport from the airport to the first hotel. That's not included. One of the reasons for that is there are so many options. It's so easy to organize, and it's just easier if you work that out yourself, because then you can make any changes that are appropriate. So I can certainly give Janie a list of the transfer companies that run from Geneva to Chamonix. There's many, many, many of them. Most of them you can all just book online, pay online with a credit card. They send you the details, and then the night before they send you a text message with the name of your driver. What we have found, Janie, occasionally is that guests who arrive with American numbers, sometimes there's a problem getting this text message through to an American number. I'm not sure why. So if you are booking a transfer, maybe also correspond by email with the transfer company. And just make sure that when you arrive at the airport, you have your mobile phone on so they can ring you if they need to. But it's seamless. You know, you get off the flight, the driver's there, you get on the transfer, and 1 hour, 15 minutes maximum later, you'll be at your hotel. It's all very easy.
I think that's a really wonderful thing about arriving in Switzerland is the Swiss efficiency. You really can't beat it. They are going to be there on time, where they say they are. And it's going to be very easy. If you all decide to register for this trip, which I hope you do, come join us this summer. We have a pre-departure document that lists all of these things that we're talking about as well, tips and tricks for travel, for packing, how you can get from Geneva to Chamonix, as well as information about the pre-trip night and every single hotel that we are staying at. So you can actually click the link and go look at their website as well. But I think that's all the questions we had. Lindsay, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for all of your information, your expertise.
Thank you for
much. Yeah.
Thanks very much for inviting me to talk about the TMB. It's a wonderful trip. I totally recommend it. There's not many trips where you get to hike in 3 countries, make a complete circuit, and I would love to share it with you. So maybe some of you who have joined us tonight, I will actually get round to meeting you if you sign up.